Back to Court TV Live. I'm Ted Rowlands. Good to be with you. Testimony continues in Ohio for the medical assistant murder trial. Pro se defendant Quinton Nixon, accused of fatally shooting medical assistant and mother Toni Westover back in 2022. He took the stand in his own defense back in early October, but before cross-examination began, the bench trial was abruptly put on hold for a month. Well, here we are. The month is up. He's back on the stand. It's time for cross.
Good afternoon, Mr. Nixon.
Good afternoon.
I am going to ask you some questions. If you do not understand any question I ask, please stop me and I'll repeat it.
Yes, ma'am.
If you answer, I'm going to assume you understood the question and you're answering the question asked.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? All right, so bottom line, you're the one who shot Toni Westover, correct?
Yes, ma'am, in self-defense.
Okay, and you shot Toni with her own gun, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I didn't know it was her gun at the time, though.
Okay. After shooting Toni, you fled the scene. You left the scene, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And everyone fled the scene, correct?
Now that I know, yes.
And you heard their testimony that they either had warrants or was on parole or things of that nature, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
At that time, did you have a warrant?
I believe I had a capious warrant.
Okay. Is that the reason you left?
No.
Okay.
Speak into the microphone, just because, you talk very softly, and I want to be able to hear your answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No, that's not the reason I left.
Okay. When you left, you had the gun with you, isn't that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When you left, you took Toni's purse when you jumped over the balcony, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you took that gun because you knew that was the gun that just shot Toni Westover, correct?
No, I took that gun because there was another gun on scene.
Okay. And that gun on scene was the one Adam or Brian had, correct?
Yes, and I was in fear of them using it on me.
Okay, but you left right after them. Like you literally were following them out.
Ron was still in the home, and he was the one that hit me with the machete. And Angel also told me to get out.
Oh, now Angel told you to get out?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just asking because you didn't testify to that at first. So now she's telling you to get out.
She told me I was the devil, that I needed to leave.
Okay. And you said Ron hit you with the machete. You had a gun though, correct? He had a machete, you had a gun.
Yeah.
Okay. You took that purse too. That wasn't to protect you, correct?
No, ma'am.
You took that gun because you had touched a vape pen in there?
No, I had took the purse to find my phone as well as I touched the vape pen.
Because you told the officers that you touched it during your interview. You touched the vape pen.
The vape pen, yes,
and your
ma'am.
fingerprints may be on that vape pen.
Yes, ma'am. I panicked.
Okay. So you were trying to cover up even being there, correct?
I mean, that's what it looked like, yeah, so I can.
Adam had a gun and he attacked you, correct? He was one of the people in the house that had a gun, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
During that day, he attacked you. I think you said he pistol whipped you on the floor with the gun.
In between me fighting with Brian.
Okay. And Brian, I was getting to that. Brian had a gun that day, correct?
Yes.
And he was fighting with you that day, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In that living room, Toni was the only female, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Toni did not argue with you, correct?
No.
Toni did not fight with you, correct? Okay. And Toni did not have a weapon, correct?
No, the gun was on Brian.
Yes, she's the only one that you shot multiple times, is that correct?
When she lunged for the gun in the middle of me being attacked.
Okay, she's the only one that you shot multiple times that day, correct?
Yes, ma'am, 3 times.
Okay. You could have left that apartment at any time, isn't that correct?
Prior to the incident, yes.
Okay. Now, when you were interviewed by the detectives, You stated multiple times, 21 minutes, 18 seconds. I was there for like 4 to 5 days. I felt like I could not leave. You even texted your mom to make sure you were safe. 22 minutes, 58 seconds. I felt I could not leave. I tried to leave. That is not true. Isn't that correct?
What is not true? That I text my mom? I text my mom.
No. I was there for like 4 or 5 days. I felt I could not leave. I felt I could not leave. You said that multiple times throughout. I tried to leave throughout that 4 to 5 day period.
When I spoke to the detectives?
Correct, that's what you said, correct?
Yeah, I said that after getting beat by the police. I was scared.
I'm gonna break this down. You told the detectives in your interview you were at that house 4 to 5 days.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
you felt like you could not leave, is that correct?
think
I can play it for you.
I think I kind of ran it all together,
I know it, no.
but it's okay.
The question is, did you say that to law enforcement when
Yes,
you were
ma'am, I
interviewed?
did. I did.
In fact, you could leave throughout that time, couldn't you? During those 4 or 5 day periods, you absolutely were free to leave at any time you wanted to,
I had left and came back, yes.
multiple times.
Yes.
During that interview with the police, so we know you're capable of saying things that aren't true.
How?
You were there 4 or 5 days and you could leave, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You told the police you couldn't leave.
At the time of
That's
the
just a
incident.
yes or no? Did you tell the police that in your interview?
Yes, at the time of the incident, I couldn't leave.
The incident took 4 or 5 days?
No, the incident didn't take 4 or 5 days. Brian wasn't there 4 or 5 days.
Okay. In your interview, let me just move to the interview first. You said in the interview that they had rolled out plastic big enough to roll me up in.
Yes.
They had enough plastic to wrap me up in, isn't that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You testified that there wasn't any plastic.
I testified that the poster, I thought that was plastic.
Okay. That poster was not big enough to roll you up in, isn't that correct?
Yeah, it was.
That poster was big enough for your body to get rolled up in.
Yeah.
Okay. You also in your interview at 25 minutes and 3 seconds said some dude came out the back with a hammer and a machete.
Yeah.
Okay. He did not come out with a hammer or a machete, isn't that correct?
No, he came out with the machete.
Okay. What happened to the hammer?
He had it in his hand on the way out the door, when I was on my way out the door.
He had the hammer. You didn't see the picture of the hammer on the bed when you were sitting here?
Yeah, I did.
So he came at you with the hammer?
No, he came at me with the machete.
No, you said when you were on your way out the door, Ron came at you with the hammer at that time?
Ron was in his room. We all went through his room.
After it was over, Ron had left out of Angel's room and went back to his room?
Yeah, he was in his room.
Okay. And he had the hammer with him?
Yeah.
Okay. I asked you about the gun earlier, and you said he had a machete. So did he have the machete and the hammer at this time?
Pardon me, you asked me about a gun?
I asked you about the gun. I said you followed them out when they jumped off the balcony.
Okay,
I said you
yeah.
went after them out the balcony, and you said, well, Ron was still in there with the machete.
Yeah.
Okay, so did he have the machete or did he have the hammer at this time?
He had the hammer when I left, but he hit me with the machete when we fought.
And when you were running with that gun, you tossed it so you would not get caught with it. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
At the time when you were being interviewed, you told the police it dropped. Isn't that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's not true either.
I didn't.
You either tossed it or it dropped. You just testified you tossed it. You told the police at the time of your interview it dropped.
I got rid of the gun when I was running. Yes.
At the beginning of your interview, you told the police you did not even have the gun. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Okay. It wasn't until, and it was Detective Hornacek sitting right here, is that fair, in your
Yes.
interview? It wasn't until Detective Hornacek stated that he watched a video, you changed your story in that interview, correct?
No.
Okay,
You can play it.
okay. After he told you he watched a video, you stated you had a gun and dropped it when you were running. Isn't that correct?
No, I don't believe so.
You know what, that's fine, because now we know you didn't drop it, you tossed it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You were also asked before you realized Detective Hornacek watched the video, did you jump off with a purse? And you said no, correct? You said you only jumped off with your jewelry and a phone, correct?
No. I said that's all I had on me at the house. I never said when he asked me about the purse, I told him that I jumped off the porch with the purse and I went into the purse looking for the vape pen.
Okay. Prior to Detective Hornacek stating he watched the video, you said you never fired the gun, correct? "29 minutes, 59 seconds. Defendant says he never fired the gun. He only had possession after he grabbed it off the table. Brian shot Toni." Do you remember saying that?
Yes.
Okay, so at that time, you knew Brian didn't shoot Toni, correct?
I was under duress, so it was kind of like, yes, I did.
And you stated you had never fired that gun, correct? And I'm not trying to trip you up. If you want to hear what you said, I'll be more than happy to play it.
Please.
Okay.
Okay, they're going to get the recording so that he could hear himself on it saying that he never fired the gun. We'll get a break, get you back into the courtroom for more of the cross-examination of Quinton Nixon right after this.
Mr. Jeffrey, tell me what happened that night.
Killed my wife, I guess. I don't remember none of that.
You don't remember the fight with Lisa?
How many times did you hit her?
5?
You don't remember what her dead body looked like laying out there in front of you?
Not at all.
If you were me, would you believe you?
Interview with a Killer. Sunday, 8/7 Central. Only on Court TV.
Let's head back to Ohio now. Ohio, we are watching the medical assistant murder trial. The defendant here, Quinton Nixon, he's representing himself, charged with murder and the shooting death of Toni Westover, a medical assistant. She's also a mother to a 9-year-old. Right now, we're watching him on cross-examination. Let's go back.
Go ahead.
Did you ever point the gun at anyone? So you're saying you had the gun, Brian lunged at you, somehow Brian got out of the way from you and shot that girl?
He kept saying she was the police, and she was snitching, she was recording something on her phone.
This one? So you didn't shoot her?
We were wrestling over the gun to get it back.
How did Adam get it?
Brian took it from me after he beat my ass and bit me in my face.
Did you ever have possession of the gun?
I grabbed it off the table.
I played it backwards. We're about to play it together.
Say that again. What did you say, Miss Easter?
I played them backwards.
Sure.
The one you just got there.
This one.
Nope. That one. Well, she heard it. If you get the other one, I can say it. Did you hear when you said you never had possession of the gun? I'm sorry, you never fired the gun, you only had possession after you grabbed it off the table?
I said after I grabbed it off the table.
Correct.
That's all I said. The video just said that.
Did you didn't hear when you said you never fired the gun?
Speak up.
You didn't hear when you said you never fired the gun?
He said that. He asked me, did I ever fire the gun? I said,
No, you shook your head.
can you play it again?
That's fine, we will. Are you gonna put that on the agenda? Okay, and then I'm gonna play you the one you said you wanted to hear when you said you did not leave you were asked if you left the house with the gun. You said nothing, my jewelry and my ID. We're gonna play that one next, but I'm gonna ask you other questions.
Pardon me, you said I left the home with my jewelry and ID? Mm-hmm. Okay, because I thought you said I left the home with my jewelry and my phone.
Okay. Oh, I can do it.
Sounds like the judge getting a little frustrated with the tenacity of this, saying, speak up. We'll get a break, get you back in for more right after this. Stay with us. Welcome back to Court TV Live, along with Judge Ashley Wilcott. I'm Ted Rollins. Good to be with you. We have our cameras in several courtrooms today, as we always do. We're in South Carolina for the murder trial for the husband accused of beating his wife with the butt of a shotgun and then setting her on fire. Day one of the Craig Lewis case. We're going to jump into that courtroom momentarily and watch the opening statements. This is our new live trial right here at Court TV.
In Ohio, the defendant is still in the stand in the medical assistant murder trial. He's a pro se defendant. His name is Quinton Nixon, and he is accused of shooting Toni Westover, a medical assistant.
We're also in California. Testimony begins this hour in the murder trial for defendant Brandon Janik. The prosecution claims that Janik was drunk when he ran a red light and hit and killed 47-year-old Joshua Gilliland as he was crossing the street.
And he was a beloved bartender that a lot of people have said was just a great guy.
Yeah, it's a horrible case. Horrible.
Yeah, very tragic. Let's get you back into court now in Ohio for the murder trial of defendant Quinton Nixon. He's on the stand and he's facing cross-examination.
Talking about, you said there was cameras in the house?
Yeah, they kept saying there was cameras in the house, there was cameras in the TV, there was cameras in, they were recording with AirPod, all types of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what did you leave the house with after you left? Nothing? You left your phone there, but you didn't leave?
Oh no, I had my ID and stuff.
Okay.
And my jewelry.
Did you hear you said you left with your ID and stuff?
Yes,
your
ma'am.
jewelry? At
Yes,
that
ma'am.
time, you did not admit that you left with Toni Westover's purse, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. That's because I didn't leave with Toni Westover's purse.
You didn't jump off the balcony with Toni Westover's purse?
I didn't take it.
My
I
question
left it there.
Okay.
That's why I answered that way.
Did you jump off the balcony with Toni Westover's purse?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you leave out the physical apartment with Toni Westover's purse?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And all you had was jewelry and an ID. You didn't leave with the gun? You sure?
Okay, you said you did not realize, you shook your head. Now, did you hear him say, did you leave with a gun? And did you see yourself shaking your head? No.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that's at 35 minutes, and I was at 35 minutes, 39 seconds. And I showed you a clip where you said you did not have her purse. You only left with your ID and your phone. Remember that?
I said I only had my ID and my jewelry, not my phone. He said, you left your phone. I said, yes.
And all of that is before, you said you didn't think it was before the officer or detective talked about seeing video. At 36:19 is when they let you know there were cameras.
We're only asking you to tell the truth because, like you said, there is cameras.
Right.
And that's the reason that you're here. It's not about...
Okay, so did you hear he's letting you know there are cameras that they saw?
Yes, and I also heard me saying that there was cameras. I told him there was cameras.
You had no idea at that time what cameras that he saw. Isn't that correct?
I knew there was cameras, but that's correct.
Okay, and after he said that, your story changed. That is when
No.
you,
Let her ask the question first.
Yes, ma'am.
your story changed. Isn't that correct?
No.
Okay, so you saw the time, so you understand before and after, correct?
Would you like to play it all the way through?
I'm asking you, understand what before and after is, correct?
I do know what before and after is.
Okay. After he let you saw, after he said he saw the video, you then admit to grabbing the gun. Before you said you did not have possession of the gun, correct?
No, that's not correct.
As far as Tony's gun, the girl's gun,
I didn't even know what
and that's fine. As far as her gun, when you grabbed the gun, was it in a holster? Do you remember that? Okay, so there was a holster.
Okay, did you see yourself shaking your head? Yes.
No, I didn't.
Oh, I can replay it, that's fine.
As far as Tony's gun, the girl's gun,
I didn't even know what
and that's fine. As far as her gun, when you grabbed the gun, was it in a holster? Do you remember that? Okay, so there was a holster.
Did you see yourself shaking your head?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So now, after he said there's cameras, now you're grabbing the gun. So now you have possession of the gun, correct? Now you're letting them know you have possession of the gun, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, before the detective said he had video, you said you did not fire the gun, correct? If you don't remember, I can play it. You said you did not fire the gun.
I don't know. All I know is I fired the gun.
You absolutely did fire the gun.
I
That is
absolutely did fire the gun. In self-defense.
correct. You fired the gun. That is it fair to say you did not tell the detectives in that order? You
It's
were
not fair to
not
say.
forthcoming.
It's not fair to say because I was beaten and I was scared when I was giving this interview, and I was deprived of medical, which she wouldn't let me testify today. So.
Okay. Was SWAT in there in that interview with you?
No,
Okay.
it wasn't.
It's a question. Thank you for answering.
just
SWAT was
answering.
not in there with you at that time. Through this interview, did they hit you at all?
No, they deprived me of medical.
Did they raise their voice at you at all?
Nope.
Did they give you a chance to answer the questions?
Yes, they did.
Okay. Okay.
But I wasn't all the way there. I wasn't
Physically, emotionally, mentally?
all three. All of those, I wasn't all the way there.
So at some point in time, you were not physically present in front of them?
I mean, what I mean by mentally, like, I wasn't all the way there.
You were answering their questions as asked. You may not have answered truthfully, but you were answering. Like if they asked you what today is, you didn't say blue or, I mean, you were answering. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you agree you were answering their questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. You have a certificate that you went through OPATA, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Peace officer certificate.
How long was that training?
I believe it was 4 weeks.
Okay. And during that training, sometimes prosecutors can conduct that training and law enforcement officers, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. During your training, police officers and or law enforcement, police officers and or prosecutors, did they conduct your training?
It was law enforcement.
Okay. So you had interactions with law enforcement during your training?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And after you got your certificate, did you use your certificate? Did you work in any type of place using your certificate?
Yes, ma'am. I did armed security.
Okay. So armed security, and you had to go through training probably at that place you did armed security as well, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if something happened, you would have had to call the police, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So you know how to call the police in a situation, a stressful situation or a bad situation.
Yes, ma'am.
You were trained on how to call the police in a stressful situation or a bad situation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And all of your interactions with police were not negative.
Not all of them.
Some taught you.
Yes, ma'am. Not all of them.
You were asked at 51 minutes and 40 seconds why you shaved your head and why you did not come out after police told you. You said you were scared, and you also said that some were on their payroll.
Yeah. There was a conversation that Brian had about.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But to clarify about being on payroll, that was what Brian had said. So it had scared me, like maybe he got ties to the police or something. I don't know, you know.
I don't know what you're talking about right now. I'm sorry.
You said something about payroll.
Correct. You told the detective in the interview you didn't come out because you were scared. You used to have bad interactions with the police.
I've had bad
Bit by a
interactions.
dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And they were on their payroll.
And what I'm telling you is when I said about the payroll thing, I was speaking on, Brian said that he had police officers on payroll.
Oh, now,
He's clarifying his
That's
statement.
all I'm clarifying. I didn't even get a chance to even explain my narrative in this video. This was right after I got beaten by the police, so.
but now you're saying Brian said he had officers on payroll.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you said you didn't get a chance to explain, they actually asked you at the end, is there anything else you want to say? Or they gave you a chance to say everything, didn't they?
They did.
Let's bring in our guest for this hour to discuss. Joining us now from Los Angeles, California, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Marie Pereira. Marie, thank you for being on with both of us. Listen, this is a pro se defendant. He is very non-pulse, sitting up there on the stand under cross-examination. He's very monotone, and we know he is trying to get out of this with a judge only. There's no jury in that courtroom. How do you think he's doing on cross?
I think he's doing a good job, and as for the prosecutor, I understand it is an adversarial situation, but I feel like I'm watching an episode of Reasonable Doubt. I feel like she's too emotional. She's too like, I know you heard what I said, exactly what I said. It's just too much. She needs to calm down. This is not a movie. If I close my eyes, I really would think, again, I was watching an episode of Reasonable Doubt. And it shouldn't be that way. Cut the drama, get to the point, make your points. You want to show that he said one thing, you want to impeach him with his own words, do that, but be more professional about it. There's just way too much, that's what I said. Didn't you hear me? I mean, come on, enough.
Well, I think he's driving her crazy because she's so tedious and so slow about all his answers. You're like, oh, come on, dude, spit it out. And I think that's probably, you heard the judge yell at him, speak up. It's a tough one to watch, but I think he's doing a pretty good job of holding his ground the way he keeps the story going, and I don't know, he might pull off a miracle here. Not gonna be found out guilty, but if he gets it down to manslaughter, he's with an imperfect self-defense, boom, he'd be in a great position.
And he's been pretty consistent with, I wasn't all the way there. I mean, he's just saying what it was.
Blaming the drugs-ish in terms of his lies to police, because that's what they're really getting him on.
Yeah.
And then who knows what really happened? Everyone's on drugs in this apartment. We'll see.